marketing executive at Commusoft. As you all know, we're all about educating and empowering field service businesses to create remarkable customer experiences. How do we do this? Well, we like to highlight forward-thinking leaders in the industry and get them to dish out their best tips, all supported by the best of evidence, their continuous success. Today we have Wayne Herring here with us to tell us a little bit about his 2020, his plans for 2021. And let me tell you, Wayne is a really interesting person. So, a business coach, a business owner, a drilling contractor, a marathon runner, but also an arm wrestling competition winner. How did we end up with all this, Wayne? This is very interesting. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Sure, Christina. Great to be with you today. And it's been a fun ride, life, business. Those varied experiences that you talked about are how I got to where I'm at today with a coaching practice. I like to live fully. I think we can create the life we want, and I like to do that with business owners. So yeah, arm wrestling, I forget those things are in my intro sometimes. Arm wrestling and farming, and I know that you work specifically with contractors, and I started off my career working as a contractor doing specialty drilling and blasting in Colorado. So your audience are people that hold a special place in my heart because it's where I started off in the work world.
Amazing, Wayne. Thank you. And obviously, like we've mentioned, 2020 has been an interesting year, to say the least. And I was really curious to hear a little bit about how you've been managing your business and if anything's changed, if you're using different strategies. How have you adapted?
2020 has been an interesting year. My business now, my two businesses, if you will, they're both related to coaching. They're both related to helping business owners grow. One of those is a one-on-one coaching practice where I work just like this over Zoom or Skype with business owners that are building, and we bring in life as well as business. And so that part of my world hasn't changed a whole lot. What has changed for sure is that I like to go get on site with companies. It's just something visceral and good about being in their business and feeling the flow of money and people and resources. And so I miss that. But there hasn't been a setback to that type of coaching work. And in fact, many of the clients I work with are thriving because some people were at home and had time and were able to order services and take care of projects that they hadn't taken care of for a long time. The other part of my business is called Business Builder Camp, and that is a mastermind and a group program where we bring people together, yes, on Zoom so we can see people around the screen, but also a key part of that program is live meetups. I think it's special when you gather people in a live setting and around a campfire, and we haven't been able to do that. I'm disappointed, I guess, like everybody else. I'm looking forward to when we can get started with those things again, and I have faith that they'll come back soon. But that's been the biggest difference.
Indeed, bringing people together, I think that's been probably one of the most challenging things as a business manager, for example, making sure that your teams stay connected. But as you've mentioned, making it work is what it's all about. And obviously, we all think that it's under pressure that great leaders are made. And as you've mentioned, obviously, having people communicate, having them share their stories. But at the same time, that's a lot of information for people to take in. And definitely people have had a lot more time to sit down, take stock of their business and devise some new strategies. But at the same time, do a lot more research. And obviously, we have a blog, we have a newsletter here at Commusoft, and we've definitely seen a lot more people coming to our resources and our business strategy articles. But what we think and what we see when we do this research is that field service business owners are really bombarded with a lot of information. And sometimes it's quite hard for them to prioritize because it feels like everyone is coming at them. What do you think about business goals, and how do you recommend, the people that you coach, the contractors or even small business owners, how can they prioritize these goals and make sense of all this information?
What I hear you asking about is the fact that business owners they have a desire to grow, and for sure, as they go out onto the internet, social media, Google ads, it follows us everywhere. Yes, they're bombarded by people who are telling them, hey, you should be doing this. You should be Instagram, Facebook, the social media channel of the day. You should be implementing software with your people that'll make them more effective. You should be. And it comes at them constantly. It used to be that when people would go to trade shows, depending on their tendency to have like shiny object syndrome and pick up every new thing, they would come back from a trade show, and the employees were always like, "Oh no, like what's going to happen now? What's the boss going to be up to?" Because of that being bombarded by, you should do this, you should try this, we have the answer. What I believe is helpful for people, and what I do with clients is we do a lot of work old school. I'm looking around my desk here. I've got some pens, right, they're erasable pens. And we do a lot of work on paper. We do a lot of work. I'm looking because I feel kind of naked that things are out of reach. But we use journals, nice leather-covered journals. There's a lot that a business owner can do with a journal. And I don't know, it seems like a lot of guys I work with like to smoke a cigar and have a journal, or have a glass of wine or whatever it is with a journal. Slow down to speed up. And business owners, when they work in that medium with pen on paper, they can start to write down, like, what do I need? Or what are my next steps? What's my plan? Let's let the noise go away. Let's think clearly and write down the chunks. And then, go look. You can then go look for a solution. You can then go look for what do I need? Like, I'm not going to get hooked in by the messages coming at me. I'm going to now go search specifically for what I need. And maybe they find something like Commusoft, and they start to then digest your content and visualize what would it be. I love explainer videos from companies like yours. Like, as a business owner, take what I put in that journal, which is like old school paper and pen, and now start to visualize what would it look like for my people to have these tools? What would it look like to interact with my clients using this tool? Would it solve the problem that I put down on paper? So I like analog, paper, journals.
Very interesting. And there's definitely value in going a little bit old school, writing down the things that you think are going to help your business. And as you've mentioned, it's important to set goals. But at the same time, you want to know what you need, and writing it down sometimes really helps. What we try to get across to our readers is that you want to set big goals. Obviously, you want your company to grow. But at the same time, big goals can be overwhelming. And writing down the things that you need, and then what tools are going to help me to achieve, like to fulfill these needs. That's definitely a great place to start with. And I think it's especially relevant, as we go into 2021. January is probably a month when a lot of people like to sit down and think about, what worked, what didn't work, what would I like to be better at in the new year. Are there any success stories that you'd like to share from 2020? I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people had to do a lot of things that were perhaps new to them. But at the same time, again, under pressure is when good people really shine. So are there any people that really impressed you and that you think could teach someone a couple of lessons in 2021?
Well, yeah, you have me thinking about, I have a client whose name is Jack Justice, and Jack Justice is the founder of a company called Ramblin' Jackson. And Jack works with landscapers and lawn care professionals. And Jack, and I'm getting ready to go to, I haven't done this in a while, but I'm getting ready to go to Colorado to work with Jack and his wife to collect their feelings about what has gone well and what they've accomplished in 2020, and then to look forward to 2021 and set some goals for the coming year. And you were talking, Christina, about it's important to set big goals, but the undertone that I heard there was it's also important to celebrate like what we've already built and what we've already accomplished. And it's another one of those things where if I get out on the internet, I'm maybe bombarded by pictures of what it looks like people have done, what it looks like they've accomplished, or I may get some Gary V like, man, come on, man, like you got to do it. And I love that stuff. And you got to 10x it and all that. Yeah. This stuff is all great, but it's important to pause like Jack and Kara are going to do and collect and say, wow, where are we really at? What's good about life? What have we accomplished? So Jack's one of those guys, like he's had a phenomenal 2020 helping landscapers and lawn care professionals with their digital marketing. And he had to pivot because a lot of his leads in the past would have come from a trade show. So again, we went to the journal, we went to a pen, we went to some slow thinking time and visualizing what could we create in this environment. And, he ended up having his own sales and marketing for Landscapers Summit. And he had 34 very attentive landscaping and lawn care contractors who showed up and essentially wrote their marketing plan for 2021 because he took the time to create this new piece. So, that's one guy I think of. And then there's somebody I follow and know kind of casually on LinkedIn. His name's Tyler Robertson, and he has this company called Diesel Laptops. And he just wrote a post about how 2020 was the year where things started to come into focus, where his physical fitness came around, where his time with his family came around. And he described in this post about how it felt like as an entrepreneur, he was trying to put a puzzle together, but all the puzzle pieces were flipped over. And in 2020, it seemed like some of those puzzle pieces, he was able to flip them over and start to put them together. And so that's another person I can think of that I know has had some success. And I think when you're a business builder, when you're a business owner, it is like putting a puzzle together and you're not quite sure what it looks like. And you got to keep stepping forward, one small doable step at a time, and know that you're on the path and stop comparing yourself to everybody else.
Yes, divide and conquer your goals. It's definitely something we agree with. And I think, and the reason why we wanted to talk about this is because it's important to see other people doing it. As you mentioned, Jack, he tried to think about what worked well in 2020 and then obviously think about what he could do in 21 that would be better. And pivoting is definitely important because as we've seen, there are definitely industries that have been affected more than others. So obviously hospitality is one that comes to mind. And for field service professionals, it's obviously something that has an impact. It's like a domino piece. Let's say you work a lot with restaurants, then you need to think about something new. And pivoting is a very important quality in a leader. You want to be flexible. You want your business to be able to withstand any kind of market variations. And something that we definitely mentioned on the blog, we mentioned in other videos, is the fact that the customer is becoming more and more important. So the end customer, the person that field service professionals work for, and pivoting towards the customer, even though some people have been aware of this for years and years, but it's definitely going to be more important in 2021. How do we talk about this? How do we prioritize the customers, and how do you think a business owner can actually understand the people that they're selling to, how easy it is to put yourself in the customer's shoes, and what would you recommend? How can they get better at it?
Well, Christina, what I heard in that last piece from you were two things. One was the importance of resiliency, and 2020 certainly made it apparent that we need to have resiliency and we need to be able to pivot. And then the other piece had to do with putting ourselves in the customer's shoes. On that first piece, resiliency, that is super important, but it's not talked about. It's talked about as a concept, but people aren't very vulnerable, I'll say, about resiliency. Or business owners, they're leading and they're in charge and they're building things. So it's often hard to talk about like what's underneath resiliency, or what's the opposite. What are the feelings that are going on that aren't so resilient. And so I, that's one of the things like in groups that I cultivate. we talk about things, like we get pretty vulnerable, and we talk about how it's really hard having kids that are doing virtual schooling, and then next thing the teacher's calling you and telling you that your son has not been doing very well, and you need to do something about this. So there's something that comes at you. You have a customer that leaves because of economic hardship, as you discussed, and there's another thing comes at you, and these things wear on us. And I think it's important to have a place with people that you trust where you can talk about. You don't I'm not necessarily looking to those people answers for what to do. I just want a place to dump it with other people that get it, because I can't talk to my employees about that. So one thing with this resiliency, there's loads of groups out there, right? Like, I'm not pitching my group. Find a group of like-minded entrepreneurs, business owners who are dealing with some of the same stuff that you are, and can understand what it's like to have to be a parent, a business owner, a leader, and then just a human that gets tired and worn out. So I think I just didn't want to skip over the resiliency part, because you're so right. It's so important. Cultivate that intentionally. And there's a bunch of things you can do with morning habits, yoga, but do it intentionally. Write that down in the journal too. Like, don't get up in the morning. Like, my morning practice to me is so important, that to not jump out of bed and get on email right away, but to actually slow down. I use Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning mantra, SAVERS, to do some silence meditation, work on affirmations, visualization, some of these things are like woo-woo and weird for people that are results-oriented business owners. But I encourage people to experiment with them.
Definitely, Wayne. And I wanted to just interrupt a little bit, as being more in tune with yourself is definitely going to help you understand the customer better. And if you want to take it from here and cover a little bit of that, I think that will be excellent, because knowing yourself is going to allow you to know other people better.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we're in sync. So yeah, knowing the customer better can start by absolutely going on a journey to know yourself better, because if I slow down and pay attention to me and what's going on, then I may actually be able to slow down and pay attention to what goes on for other people. So when I think about customer journey, again, I love tools, tech tools like yours, but there's nothing like sitting down, being quiet, and drawing a stick figure, which is the only thing that I can draw. And you can put hair on it, to try to, dress them up and picture who your ideal client is. But to draw a stick figure and really think, right now, in this moment, this customer of mine is, in their home or their flat, depending on where you're at, they're there, and life is happening, and they've got, I don't know, a heating system, and the heating system, they wish they would have called, 3 days ago, but now it really isn't working. Like, if I can get present and think about that and who they are, and take my stick figure in my journal and just start making some notes about what's it like to be them, right? And then what are the demands on their life? And then take that and start to look at the service I provide, and what would be perfect for them, what would be helpful for them, what would be easier for them. And they don't know crap about most likely whatever your technical specialty is. They haven't lived and breathed that their whole life. So it's that getting present to them and making notes that helps me. And then another piece of that is walking through the journey and almost mystery shopping in my mind. What are the touch points? What happens? What kind of communication? Where might they get anxiety because they don't know? They're left hanging. They don't know what's happening. They don't know what's next. So I really like that, visualizing forward with my little stick figure and going on the journey with them in my journal.
Definitely. And it's also because it's a complex interaction. It's not as simple as somebody, picks up a soda and then they go to the till and then they pay. It's quite a bit more complex. And at the end of the day, you're most likely allowing someone into your house, into your home, or into your business if you're servicing an office. And it's definitely difficult to track everything. But like you said, just writing it down, just visualizing it definitely helps, and trying to identify with the customer. And at the end of the day, every business owner wants their customer to be happy. Hopefully, that's what they want. But
Right.
it's profitable. It's simply profitable to have happy customers. Happy customers recommend you. Happy customers come back to you. They most likely spend more than they did on the first project because they trust you now. So it's not just a benefit in terms of, oh, I'm a good business owner, I'm a good person, which obviously should matter a lot as well. And like you've mentioned, there's something that I wanted to go back to. You mentioned how difficult it is sometimes to be a leader. And it's definitely, I think, not only has it been difficult for everyone in 2020, but definitely for people who have to set an example. They have employees who might be looking up to them. They have people who expect guidance, which it's definitely something that you take upon yourself when you have your business. And something that we've noticed is that in 2020 has definitely been a year of reactive management. But what if we want to turn it around? We want to be proactive in 2021. What are 3 things you would recommend to leaders who might struggle with managing their teams, or perhaps they're not sure how to manage productivity, teamwork, but also mental well-being?
I think all these things, it always starts with, like, right now. Well, make a choice that I'll be more proactive. We were reactive in 2020. Maybe you were, maybe the people listening were, maybe they weren't reactive in 2020. Certainly there was more of a tendency to that because of circumstances changing faster. But you can change that right now, like in this moment. Like, get off this video. And how do you be proactive? I feel like a broken record, but I've seen it over and over again watching business owners. When they start to not immediately be in action and be like, vibrating all over their world, but slow it down and get back to paper and get back to pen and be like, what does being proactive in 2021 look like for me? What will I do to not be so reactive? It starts right there. But the things that I wrote down were, when it comes to productivity, a habit that people could get is to rewind the game film. Take a look at game film. Put it in your practice for 2021. Calendar it. Put it in your calendar that we will have times where we will come together as a team and we'll take a look at wins, projects that went well, where a customer left raving reviews, and we'll also look at some that didn't go so well and maybe we had some negative reviews. And together we'll rewind the game film and go back to that customer journey and what happened and make some notes about what we could do differently. Another proactive thing is from a teamwork point of view. I wrote invest in DISC assessment or Myers-Briggs assessment or Strength Finders assessment. There's a whole bunch of these tools out there where you can put some language to human behavior. So DISC is a language of behaviors and how people get things done and how they communicate. Myers-Briggs, same way. If you take your leadership team and pull them together and hire an outside facilitator to come and conduct assessments like that and talk about what they mean, people are going to start to understand each other in different ways. They'll that's another way of slowing down. It's a way of seeing my teammates as humans and understanding their behavior instead of just thinking they are jerks or don't care or whatever. So that's the second thing. The next thing would be, the third thing would be your mental well-being. Like we've talked about this. Give it time and attention. Give yourself put time and attention on your mental well-being, because as a leader, if you can take care of you and get some time for self-care and have some of the mental noise slowed down, you're gonna have so much more ability to absorb negativity or variability from the marketplace, from your clients, from your team. It's hard for y'all that are building businesses to slow down. I get that, but when you do it, like, think about this. If you've ever had a time where you've actually gone on vacation and unplugged for 3 or 4 days, did you ever regret it? It's always hard to do it. It's always hard to actually go on vacation or put the phone and the computer down. But when you do it, have you ever regretted it? I rarely do I meet somebody that says, oh, damn it, I wish I hadn't taken that time to go rest and relax. Like, that was terrible. So yeah, get it in your calendar to take care of you.
Definitely. And I think that's also a way to set a good example for employees. If they see a leader that invests in their own well-being, it's also something that we believe here in the company, that is, as long as you're feeling good about yourself, you're automatically going to be more productive. Like, I even read proper research a couple of days ago where they said that it's definitely some companies use pressure and stress to motivate employees, but that only works for so long until you get people who are burned out. And it's definitely something that, as long as your environment is positive, like the place where you work is something that you feel motivated by, then of course you're going to be more productive. And my final question for you, Wayne, is definitely, obviously looking to the future. That's what we're all about. Thinking about plans, sitting down, like you said, and just writing it down in our journal. Where do you think things are going? Like, what do you think about the next 6 months, 6 to 12 months? As we've seen, sometimes plans don't come together, but what would be your 3 key actionable tips for 2021?
Yeah, well, one of those, again, knowing that you work with like these home service type businesses, is that I think people legit want things taken care of for them. I think that they've come to expect, I don't know about you, but like, I feel like we've ordered more from Amazon than ever before while we've been at home, and we've become so accustomed to that level of notification and service and knowing what's going on, and things just get taken care of for us. And I think in 2021, people will continue to want that from home service-based businesses. I know that, so the demand will be there to be taken care of. I've got a lawnmower right now, and I wish that my lawnmower dealer had a service. I would willingly pay for it if they would come get that mower, sharpen the blades, change the oil, and just handle that and take care of it. Like, hey, do you want us to come pick your mower up? When do you, like, proactively, if they were to ask, when do you want us to come pick your mower up? I would pay for that. So I would say, we definitely want to offer to clients and customers ways to make their life easier. It's not rude to ask. I think it's in service to them to ask them if we can come and help them. So that's one thing. Second thing, this goes against some of my analog and write down with a pen, is, I think video is the way to keep pushing forward for businesses that are serving anybody, no matter their size. I've been reading a book called Visual Sale by Marcus Sheridan, and it's a great one. You're nodding, yeah. People should pick that one up. If we can show people by video what that customer journey will be like and what they should expect so that there's no surprises, I think that's a key element to be adding to websites and to communication with people in 2021. And then I think the last thing I'd say for 2021 to think proactively, as you say, and plan is, how can we bring humanity? How can we bring that connection? How can we bring interaction back into the world as hopefully, there's vaccines and things that are going to deaden the pandemic? How do we bring humanity back? I had a financial advisor, they stopped by a while ago, and they dropped off cupcakes, and they called to make sure that I was here. And it's still kind of weird, but it's how it is. They made sure I was here, and they called so that I could just look out the window and say, hey, what's going on, when they dropped off the cupcakes. So I just spend some time thinking about how can we bring humanity, how can we bring some touch points back in 2021. And I think that'll make lifelong customers.
Definitely. And at the same time, fuel service companies, they, like I've mentioned before, they have this advantage that they actually go and meet their customer face to face. They go into their home. Like, what better opportunity to create a long lasting relationship, And definitely, Wayne, I think you brought some excellent advice to this conversation, and kind of to go through it. It's basically get a journal. Did I get this right? Get a journal,
Yeah,
write it down, set a goal, assess your needs, divide it into smaller goals, find the right tools for you, which we always think is important. What do you need to actually make your business work? Is it software? Is it better trucks? Is it, more people, more specialized people? There's always something, that can actually help the business. And it is a risk, obviously innovation is never going to come easily to people. But at the same time, we've seen that it's the people who can pivot, like your friend Jack, is the people who actually, who are flexible enough to say, okay, what we didn't work so well. We're just going to switch plans. We're going to look to new avenues. And I think that's definitely important. And taking care of yourself, what do you think? Well-being in 2021? Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of well-being. I'm a bit of a weird guy, and I love bringing that to my clients. I tend to work with people that run blue-collarish businesses, and I've got a farm here, and we've got pigs, and I like to go hunting, and I know I'm pretty handy with a tractor and chains and doing things like that, but I really love slowing it down. And, I've been listening to British poet David Whyte, and meditation and yoga, these things, they create strength from like the inside, Mm-hmm. And I definitely encourage people to give those things a shot.
Thank you very much, Wayne. That's been very insightful, and it's definitely something for people to think about in 2021, and start from the idea that this is a year of opportunities. So I just wanted to let people know, if they want to reach you, you've got a website. It's called businessbuildercamp.com/let's talk. And Wayne has another surprise for you. Everyone who's been watching this, obviously you've noticed that we love business plans. We love writing things down. So Wayne has put together a 3-year business plan for you that you can download by going to the URL that I mentioned, or just opening the box down below.
Great. Well, thanks, Christina. And yeah, when your listeners go to that link, I actually included, I didn't include, we can't send this big paper through the internet, right? But there's a link to a PDF that they can download. This is a full-size business plan sheet, like a construction drawing that we use in our camp programs, and it allows people to take that pen and paper approach and write down their 3-year vision, their big dreams, their big goals, where they're headed, and then walk it back from 3-year vision to 12-month goals to 90-day projects, and then outline the projects that they're going to be focused on proactively in the next 90 days. And I've got my clients fill this out 3 times a year, and then they hang it on the wall and have it somewhere that they can see it so that they stick to it. So I'm really happy to share that with all of your viewers as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you for being on the show.
Great to be here.
And there you have it. Wayne has worked with a lot of field service business professionals and a lot of business owners, and that's what he's experienced. It's important to make a plan, write it down, and visualize things. But at the same time, keep the customer in mind and try to put yourself in their position. So take the chance. Make 2021 the year of opportunity and the year of customer journeys.